Welcome to the Encore today. We are going to talk about drinking alcohol. Is it a sin? Where's the line? Is it not a sin? Is it okay? Other drugs, marijuana, recreational use, medical use. I think a lot of people. I get random emails. I know you do too. Mm-hmm. This has kind of been a recent one for me. I guess this is kind of where it comes from. Mm-hmm. So we want to dive into that today. But I think you got something fun for us.
I first, in the spirit of letting people get to know us as very regular people, you are contemplating getting a dog.
Oh, no.
You've never had a pet other than a kid. You as an adult man living your own life in your own place, you've never had a pet. Am I correct? You and your wife.
Correct. Yeah, correct.
You have 3 kids. They want a dog. You don't.
Correct.
They have you've made them bring you an official presentation proposal. Mm-hmm. They've accomplished that, and now it's just in some sort of limbo for a minute.
Yep.
I have a story for you this morning. I have 2 dogs. I've always owned dogs. Since I've been married, I've owned 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 dogs. Mm-hmm. I've been married 20 years, so that's averages a dog every 4 years. But I've had 2 at a time. Doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. This morning, Scott, I have a dog story for you.
Oh, my goodness.
First of all, just full disclosure, my dogs are beyond puppyhood. They're decently well-trained. They go where they're told to go. They stay where they don't even go to the bathroom in the yard. So I'm not going to pick up anything. So they go in this spot in the weeds. They don't go in the grass, so they're fine. But my big dog, my bull mastiff, who is over 100 pounds, is just a massive animal. Very powerful animal. He's a mastiff animal. He is a big bulldog, imposing force of an animal. Got into yesterday, my kids left this box of like Nutri-Grain granola bars out in his like area. Mm-hmm. So he ate the whole box, wrappers and all. Swallows. If you gave him a Nutri-Grain bar in the package, he would just engulf it, wrapper and all. Like, ow. And this morning on the rug, there was a not insignificant amount of diarrhea coupled with Nutri-Grain wrappers all crinkled up from his intestines all over the rug. And I thought of you. So that's how this day that we are sitting at right now started. The reason I tell you that is, though I own dogs, I have loved dogs. Something has happened in me where I'm becoming my parents, who I thought I would never be with regard to animals. Mm-hmm. Where I'm like, how come my dad doesn't want us to have dogs? Why is my dad got to be so weird about it? And I fight the urge. I'm not going to get rid of the dogs. Like, I let my kids, these are my last dogs, Scott. I'm going to tell you. And I don't hate them. Like, the dog I'm talking about, my bull mastiff, is my most favorite dog I think I've ever had in my life, talking childhood and everything. Okay. It's the best dog. He's it, dude. This is it. Like, wow. No more dogs. And this is the reason why, because it's nobody's fault. You can't predict. These things happen. But I'm not here to talk you out of it. I'm just here to tell you a story. So where are we at in your dog search?
Yeah, I have
that encouraging story.
My wife and I both are about a 0% interest personally in having a dog for 100 reasons. You can imagine that being one of them.
That's one of them, but it's just the extra thing. It's just the extra thing.
The only thing that is making me consider and change my mind is I honestly don't want to deprive my kids of enjoying life to some degree. I remember having a dog as a child. Yep. Loved it until it got killed by a car. Till we got the next one, killed by a car.
Another reason.
Yep. So maybe there's some trauma in my life that I'm trying to avoid. I don't know.
I wouldn't fault you.
So I'm kind of leaving it on them. Mostly my oldest, Riley, just because he's the oldest, and so he's kind of the leader of the thing. And so I need him to continue to come to me.
He's got to sell it. Got to push it.
Got to sell it. Like if he forgets about it and life goes on, dude, I ain't rushing out the door to get a dog. No. And I asked him the other day, I'm like, you still interested? Yeah, I gotta do some more homework and all this. And so now he's researching breeds, and we don't have a ton of property, so there's a lot of factors that go into it. A lot of factors.
Dude.
And I love my kids. I want them to genuinely, but here's what I fear the most. the honeymoon will be over after a month. Like you get so pumped about this dog, and then all of a sudden real life hits. And I don't want to be the told you so dad, but I'm telling you, like the kids they don't ever see that. And our lives are busy. We are here a lot. Mm-hmm. My kids are here a lot. And I just think you're not thinking about everything involved.
You'll never convince me.
I know. So whatever.
I agree with you 100%. It has become I'm a dog guy.
Yeah.
And I'm so busy with so many things in this phase of my life.
Yeah.
And I'm not mad about any of them. This is the life I want.
Yeah, right.
I mean, these are answered prayers from the Lord. Yeah, but I got to take this dog out before I go to bed tonight. Ah, man. I got this dog throwing up. Like I can't deal with it.
Yeah.
But I'm going to deal with it.
All right, let's get into our topic today. Oh, where do we want to start with this? So is drinking a sin? Now, marijuana is legal for medical use and recreational use in the state of Michigan. I think many other states are opening this up to.
It's going to be a national legalization, and it's just going to be life.
So there's so much to say here.
There's a lot. You're opening a big box.
It is,
now.
Yeah, and I feel like time is not going to be on our side today.
It's a very emotional. Like people get white hot about this both ways.
Both ways.
It's strangely an emotional issue.
Yeah. So here's the thing. I want to pose things of maybe just questions that Christians should answer for themselves to say, how do I decipher things? Now, we both have talked about this. We grew up in a world where alcohol was probably
enemy number one.
Yeah, you could murder somebody.
Yeah.
And it's right in the same line of drinking a beer.
And we're not talking about drunkenness.
We're
talking about if you drink alcohol, you're probably not a Christian.
Yeah. Beer.
And if you are, you're not a very good one. That was in any capacity.
Yeah. But then you study the Bible and you find out Jesus probably drank wine. And so there's questions.
What do you mean probably?
Well, he drank wine. We could go to some verses.
The head waiter literally says you saved the best for last.
Yeah.
He made the best wine at the wedding in Cana of Galilee.
Okay.
For sure he did.
Okay. All right. That's what I'm saying. So that would make you question things already. Like why would he and why shouldn't I? So let's just I'll fire it at you. There's so many verses to talk about. Is drinking a sin? Why not? Where do you want to go with this?
At a base level?
Yeah.
Just on the face of it? No.
Mm-hmm.
No, it's not. There's not a verse to stand on.
Mm-hmm.
There's not a verse to stand on to say that. In full disclosure, you and I don't drink. I mean, so it's not like we're trying to. It's not like I don't want to even be a liar. It's not like I've never had a drink in my life.
Right.
Let's not be dumb. I'm not going to tell fictional stories, but with regularity, keeping it in the house, wine with dinner, we don't do any of that.
Correct.
I don't judge anyone who does.
Yeah,
we don't. So it's not like we're trying to justify our own position.
Yeah, good point.
So
I do want to get to that and towards the end of this too of why you revealed it, why we don't.
Yeah, we can talk about that. I just want people to know, like, oh, well, now you're one of those guys trying to say, like, okay, it could be a sin for somebody.
Mm-hmm.
It could be a sin, but it isn't, because sin is a matter of. It is a matter of the fundamental truth of the Scripture, which it is. There's not a verse.
Mm-hmm.
But it's also a matter of conviction from the Holy Spirit based on your context with something.
Right.
So we were talking earlier before this started. We'll get to it another day. Food can be a sin for somebody.
Yeah.
Oh, is eating a sin? No. Is it for this person? Well, what they're doing and why they're doing it? Yes, it is.
Right.
It's the same thing.
Yeah. So that's a teaser for an upcoming episode.
Gluttony and drunkenness are the same thing.
Right.
The fundamental thing, alcohol and food are not the issue.
Yeah.
It's drunkenness and gluttony.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the answer.
I don't know.
So is it a sin? No, but yeah.
Yeah. So what are the questions that we should ask as Christians to say, have I gone over the line, or where is that line for me? If I'm okay drinking, I've just grown up in this world where beer and wine is a part of my culture, my family. Mm-hmm. What line?
So if they have self-control, the Bible says the fruit of the Spirit is self-control. If they have self-control, that is their culture. So it's easier for an American to understand no Christian should drink than it is for an Italian believer or someone in Spain or something. It's just such a culture. A French believer from Paris that truly knows Jesus is going to have a hard time understanding why we've drawn the lines we've drawn. Mm-hmm. Culture does matter. Mm-hmm. So to that person, that they have full self-control. They've been raised with, it serves, whatever purpose it serves in their life with meals and fellowship and, the culture of family get-togethers and stuff like that. My thing would be, the question to ask is does it jeopardize your testimony, both to a believer? Does it cause a stumbling block to a believer? I got the verses right here.
Yep.
Or does it jeopardize your testimony with an unbeliever, and to what degree and in what context? And does that then matter whether you ever drink or not again?
Yeah. So the other things I would throw in there are obeying the law. So for us, it's 21 years old.
Yeah, if you're 20, you're in sin. So yes, it's a sin. There.
Yeah. So let's just kind of start there. I think there are, we are asked Romans 13 to obey the governing laws.
Yeah, true.
Governing
Good point.
authorities. So I think we would start with that. We are talking about adults, all of that. So that's going to go into marijuana. That too. We'll kind of get there. But Ephesians 5:18 says, "Do not be drunk with wine, but be filled with the Spirit." So I would take that to mean going into, I don't know, different types of drugs and things too. The point is, I see it this way. The point in that is that you can get your mind to a place of I don't have control, where you're saying self-control.
Absolutely,
right?
It's a crutch. It's an addiction.
Well, even if it's not an addiction, even in that moment.
Oh, sure.
Right.
Yeah.
Even that moment, I don't have control over my vehicle. Even the law would prohibit us from doing that.
Yeah, it would. Yeah.
Right. So there's another thing with the law, but being filled with the Spirit, like that's kind of the point of that. You could do that with marijuana or drugs, getting your mind to a place of just kind of, I'm out of control, right? So that's another thing. Then I had in here too as well, like all things are lawful, from 1 Corinthians 6. You have that?
I have it in 10. I didn't know
okay.
But go.
All things are lawful, but not all things are beneficial.
Okay.
So Paul says this, and he's referring to food and other things in there too, where there was an old Jewish law where you shouldn't be eating these types of food.
Meat sacrificed to idols. Yeah. He's saying you're allowed to. Is it the best idea for you?
Is it the best idea? So, we have to ask ourselves that all the time. It probably is lawful for me to do this, past the point of, am I obeying the governing authorities? But is it the smartest thing to do? I use this example a lot for young adults. It's pretty relevant. Do I think it's a sin to play a video game for 24 hours? I don't think so necessarily, but I'd say it's probably not the most beneficial thing you can do with your time. Like, you can get away with it. Nobody's going to arrest you or whatever. I can't even for sure say that you're in sin, but it's probably not the best use of your time. And so, like, is that something that you want to do with your time? So go into I don't know if there was something else you want to go into the stumbling block part of it.
Yeah, well, I actually am staring at that right now, strangely enough. Did you have something?
No, I'll kind of fill in. I had a thought with that.
All right, so on that, it says, if one of the unbelievers invites you and you want to go, eat anything that is set before you without asking questions for conscience sake. And he's talking about meat sacrificed to idols. So they serve you meat. You as a Christian in this context and culture, again, culture matters. Yeah. You don't eat meat sacrificed to idols. That is your conviction. Yeah. But an unbeliever has invited you in. And he's saying the testimony to that man's soul is more important than where this meat came from. He said, so don't ask questions for conscience sake. But if anyone says to you, this meat is sacrificed to idols, do not eat it for the sake of the one who informed you and for conscience sake. He said, hey, I know that you don't do this, so this is where this meat came from. So now he's saying, watch out to be a stumbling block, because this person will see a hypocrisy in you. And he says, I mean not your own conscience, but the other man's. For why is my freedom judged by another's conscience? And so he says, whether then you eat or drink, whatever you do, do all for the glory of God. Give no offense either to Jews or to the Greeks or to the church of God. So he's saying, wherever you are, here, rather than parse this to death, you need to think about who's around you and the effect it's going to have on them. Christians, unbelievers, the church, culture, Jews, Greeks, and he's saying, look around, because you are the least important person in that room. So, well, no, I'm free to drink. I'm a Christian. As you said, there's not a verse to stand on. That's not the only measure as to whether or not it is or is not in the Bible. The soul, the heart of man being a stumbling block to them is way more important than whether or not he said you can or cannot drink wine.
Yeah.
And the answer is sometimes you can.
Right.
And if you don't have these other issues, self-control and you're not
Right.
breaking the law and these
Right.
kind of things,
Right.
maybe in this context, in moderation, Bible says all things in moderation, without drunkenness, of a sober mind. Maybe in this context, you would drink alcohol. Maybe in this context, because of who's there, what they've struggled with, or their view of it, you don't drink alcohol. It's kind of on you to know that. And if you don't know for sure, don't do it.
Yeah.
It's kind of the mini sermon on it.
Yeah, and I would also throw in there too that you talked about a lot about culture. I think there are times where it could potentially be a beneficial thing depending on who you're around.
It could
yeah?
be. It
so,
could be.
But that's not, again, the point is you can make up any excuse or reason you want to do what you want to do, right? And I think everybody can take a passage of Scripture, put it in their own context, out of context, just to make it say what it's going to say. And I think that's your point here, is saying that, of understanding, like, really, why are you doing that? So let me ask you this. I can answer too if you want. Personally, for you, why you mentioned you don't drink. Why? What are those reasons for you?
So first of all, I'm not here to make absolute statements. Like I will never drink alcohol in any context again. I'm not gonna say that because I don't know. I travel literally the whole world, so for gospel reasons and so forth. So I don't know what context I might get in where it would be less of a stumbling block to accept something from somebody or to participate in something. I'm not talking about compromising my convictions. Yeah. I'm not talking about just fitting in for the sake of fitting in. I'm not doing that. But I'm not here to make an absolute. So never, never, never. Like, it's not the same as I will never cheat on my wife. Like, I'm not. It's not like that.
Yeah, sure.
But I don't, as a practice, drink any alcohol. I don't do it in restaurants. I don't keep any alcohol in the house. I don't do these things. And the honest reason is it's just easier for me. It's easier for me as a pastor. It's easier for me with the people that I shepherd. It's easier. It's less of a thing to explain. And it's just not a big deal for me to leave it alone. So I just have decided, like, this is not a thing for me. I don't need this to be a presence in my life that I really have to explain a whole lot. And that's just a personal matter. It's I really don't have a voice from God on it. I do have a voice from God about, like, well, if you want to be a gospel preacher, if you want to shepherd a lot of people, if you want to, be unstained and these kind of things. And I just don't want to complicate things. It's already hard enough.
Yeah. Right.
But that's just me. Other guys that in my position would say different, and they're allowed to do so.
Yeah.
For me, I'm just not really.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say the same. It's very similar. Just like it's not even worth the battle. It's just kind of easier, especially in our culture and context. It's like
exactly.
You'd have so many things to explain, and if it was like, this is a stupid truth, but I don't. You're gonna make fun of me. I don't drink calories. So, like, I drink water. I drink water and coffee.
Okay, sure. Well, same actually. Yeah, I don't drink anything.
Even the thought of
pop.
I don't drink pop.
No.
And so then I just think also another thing is, like, do I like it that much? Do I care for it that much that all of these things are going to go out the window? So I'm just like, it doesn't even cross my mind that much. Maybe if I'm in, like, Napa Valley and they're like, hey, this is the best wine this area has to have, would you take a sip?
Try it. Just try it and tell me honestly. Dude, I'm not going to be like, I can't.
I'd be like, and I'm even curiosity would be like, yeah, is this stuff good? So,
right. It's not. It's just not.
But I like that. No hard, fast rules.
No, I don't have a hard, fast rule about it. If someone, do you drink? I say, no, I don't drink because I don't. But it's not. I haven't drawn this wide and narrow road.
Yeah, that's good.
This isn't the wide and narrow road here. It's just not.
But we kind of felt like it was years ago, right?
I was raised that way, and that's not a criticism of my parents. They, as well as me, were raised in a church culture where this was villain number one, and so they definitely grabbed onto that. My dad also comes from, I don't want to denigrate his family, but comes from damage from alcoholism in his family. So I think it's more of an open wound. It's more of a difficult place for my dad than it is for me. I've never seen my dad or mom drink a single sip of alcohol in their life. So to me, it's not a thing. It's not like, oh, okay. It's like you say, you're in Napa Valley. They go, oh, some friend of mine says, try this. You just, I know you don't drink, but okay, fine. Yeah. Like I might do that. Yeah. They would not, but I don't fault my dad or anybody else out there for. Maybe they had an alcoholic father or mother, did great damage, and when they say, well, what caused the pain in my life or my childhood? Well, it was that alcohol. They're not entirely wrong. It was an addiction problem, yes.
Yeah.
And so I'm not going to try to get my dad to go, Dad, this is no different than too many hamburgers. Mm-hmm. And it is. I do believe that. And I have talked with my dad about this on long car rides. But he has a thing, but I think it hurt him. And I think he sees the damage it can do more than maybe me and you.
Yeah, probably.
But the problem is you can't also take that and then make this something it's not. That's where you got to watch out. To look at other believers and go, well, they drink wine with steak. Well, they said they were a Christian. That's weird for me that they're drinking wine with steak. Maybe they're not a Christian anymore. You can't do that. So you got to watch out.
Yeah, Romans 14. I'm not going to get all in. Talks about like understanding that you have your convictions and I have mine too. And so there's a lot in there. I want to kind of transition to part of it being the legality of it. So now legal also doesn't always mean okay, right? So So maybe somebody would say,
you can get an abortion too. I mean, if you want to take an extreme example.
You're just dropping bombs all of a
bit of a bomb.
Yeah, we're just talking about beer. Okay,
not beating you up, ladies. If you've had an abortion, we'd love to help you. We love you. I'm just saying as an extreme example, that is legal. There are many things legal.
So, but now marijuana has become legal, right? So then there's the question.
Very legal.
Okay, it's legal. Can I take it? Should I take it? What are your thoughts on marijuana?
It's the same answer.
Yeah, I agree.
It's the same answer, and people are going to have a hard time with this.
It is.
I'm not saying I don't have a hard time saying that out loud.
Right.
It's hard. I was raised. First of all, marijuana has been an illegal drug my entire life. Mm-hmm. Like people are in jail, and then all of a sudden, you can smoke it on the lake on your boat,
right?
And offer the sheriff when he goes by.
It's a little confusing.
It's very confusing for an older generation, which we have to admit we are becoming, at least with regard to things like that.
Right.
Someone raised with it, like my kids are not going to understand
that
marijuana. It's like the people that came out of prohibition in the 20s and then alcohol's legal, and then they grew up and they're like, we can do this now because we were hiding in basements a minute ago.
Mm-hmm.
I would say, why?
Mm-hmm.
It's about the why.
Mm-hmm.
It's not about the thing.
Mm-hmm.
Why?
It is.
Can I eat a box of Little Debbie's? The answer to you is I can eat the entire box.
Yeah,
I'm like my dog Smokey, dude. I'm like a bull mastiff when it comes to Swiss cake rolls. Can I eat the whole box?
Oh, man.
You can. Does God say you shouldn't? Not necessarily.
Not necessarily.
Why am I doing that, Scott?
Yeah, I know.
So to me, it is. People are not going to like this. It is very similar. It's the answer is it's not a sin.
Yeah.
It's not a sin on the face of it. There's a
on
lot more to consider.
Yeah. So I had a guy that was emailing me about this, and it started out with back and forth emails. It started out with drinking, and then next email is marijuana, and then he got into mushrooms and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I kept giving him same answer. Like think these questions through, answer it for yourself. So the other one. This is going to get a little bit dicey here, maybe.
It seems like we're there, but okay.
I'm
nervous.
With legality is prescription drugs.
Well, so I'm glad you brought this up because that was in my mind just now.
Okay, so we like to think because it is prescribed by a doctor that I have
pop off, Scott.
Full rights to.
This is an axe I want to grind.
Things. Yeah, and so when you talk about Ephesians 5, be not drunk with wine, but be filled with the Spirit. This is the same thing. We can do this with prescription drugs that a doctor has prescribed for us that are legal, that are sitting right there on your countertop.
You go.
And do the exact same thing that we're condemning the drinker for, right?
Yeah, 100%. People are doing it every day.
Every day.
And they give themselves a loophole. They're giving themselves a medical, so that you have the prescription thing and you have the law that says yes and yes. what can I do? I got to take my medicine. And they're not taking it for what they're taking it for anymore.
Right.
I have counseled people that may be watching this right now that I love dearly that have repented and sinned that almost ruined their life and marriage over prescription legal drugs from their doctor.
Yeah, yeah.
And I'm not even faulting those doctors. Maybe you need it. That's the danger.
Right.
But here's the thing. They have been prescribing marijuana for years, and people are like, marijuana. Listen, I'm no medical expert, but we know. Let's not be stupid. Let's not be stupid.
Yeah.
Those heavy pills we've been taking for years, like junkies, and imagining pain so we can get prescriptions, are way stronger and way more damaging than. Whether your marijuana cigarette or gummies or whatever, whatever whatever the delivery method is, marijuana is not as heavy as like Vicodin and Percocet and these kind of things.
Yeah.
And I'm not faulting people for Vicodin and Percocet, but you better not fault people if they say, look, this is the reason I don't want to be on heavy narcotics.
Yeah.
I have a herniated disc lower back pain. I went with marijuana over this, and I'm a Christian just as much as you. You better look out. Yeah. Just don't judge it. Let God be the Holy Spirit.
Yeah, these are good things to talk about. So just in full disclosure, I had a surgery, 10 or 15 years ago, maybe 15, on my ankle, and I remember that. And they gave me Percocet. And I took it because I didn't even know any different. It was I'm not trying to make excuses. The doctor gave it to me.
I'm the same
came
way.
Out of the thing. Okay. But there came a time where my ankle was fine. And I had that thing in my cupboard.
You said finish. I should probably.
And I was like, minor head. I did this. I'm admitting to this. Minor headache. Ooh, I got Percocet. Why would I use Tylenol when this can cure it like that? And I remember going to a place of going, this is
how it happens.
This is fun, and going like I enjoyed it too much, and it hit me, and I was like, oh, dude, you're no different.
You're
than
literally a prescription drug addict. Yeah, that's how now.
I'm glad I realized it because but again, I was like, well, the doctor gave me this. Well, why wouldn't I finish the thing? So
the dicey water. So I think we can go to the wall on medical prescription. Mm-hmm. And I would just say to people, people say they have, look, if they're manipulating the circumstance, that's between them and the Lord.
Absolutely, yeah.
You leave it alone. Yeah, if they have medical marijuana. Mm-hmm. Leave it alone. Mm-hmm. Like God's not mad at them. And if they're doing something different, let the Lord handle it. Yeah. Where it gets odd is the recreational use. So when we talk about alcohol, we're not talking about necessarily medicine. We're talking about sipping alcohol in moderation. Mm-hmm. So then you got to go to the recreation of marijuana, which is a little bit different, but it's not different.
It's the same
why?
Questions, right?
But why, right? So it's and I can't answer all that, quite frankly. And again, full disclosure, I don't smoke marijuana either.
It's funny, but it's not funny.
And maybe, I don't know. I will say this. It's hard to say. I'm trying not to start a bunch of problems out there, but but we can't be legalists. That's what the Pharisees were, so you got to watch out. But we also can't permit and allow wanton sin.
Yeah.
In the name of Christian liberty. That's what you can do. So you got to find that balance. But here's the thing. There could be an occasion where recreational marijuana is used by a true Christian, and they stand without conviction. They're not abusing something. It is in moderation, and for them, that context could work.
Yeah.
To anybody out there going, sweet, this is what I need to hear, you probably already have the wrong motive. Yeah. You better watch out.
Yeah. So this is kind of the perspective that I try to think for myself of going, I need to answer these questions for myself. Without necessarily telling everybody else black and white you can or you can't. Where are we allowed to have a voice in people's life? I would say if you're asking those questions to yourself and open to that, like you as my friend, I could come up to you and be like, dude, can I just ask you why are you drinking so much?
Why are you doing it? Yeah.
Like I think I have the right to do that as long as I'm willing to take it back. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Why do you smoke so much weed? Oh shoot, I don't know. You drink. So we have to. We have to be willing to answer those things, and it's not black and white, but for yourself, like answer those questions to know why you're doing it.
So here, going back to our answer, at least for me, I don't want to totally speak for you. People would say, "Well, why don't you?" Mm-hmm. So now, just in this little conversation, you can imagine the complexities of doing it. Could I eat a gummy and enjoy it? Of course I could.
Yeah.
Could I drink more? Of course I could. This is right here is just what I don't want to deal with. This is just what I don't want to explain to people. I don't want to try to find answers like, well, this is why, and this is how it is. I do. Yeah. And for the most part, like that's the reason where I'm just like, but I don't put that on anybody else.
Right.
I'm a pastor. We're out here. We're talking to a lot of people. I preach to people. I got to live a certain life, and I accept the weight of that reputation and responsibility in a certain way. I don't judge another pastor who does it differently. This is my way of dealing with this, is just to go, nah, I really don't. So I got nothing to answer for.
All right. Normally I would cut it off. I'm gonna extend.
People are
this
probably into it.
I'm gonna extend this just for a couple minutes.
Yeah, it's okay.
This is really fun. Let's go into the next question. CBD oil. You aware of the CBD oil?
I have it by my bed.
Okay. Now,
so that one I do. That one I got.
Go. Yeah. Now, why do you take CBD oil? What's your understanding of that?
So we work out a fair amount.
Yeah.
Couple workout guys here. We both really love it. Me especially. I don't like it at all, but I do it, and it's beneficial to me. But I hurt myself on a semi-regular basis. Yeah. Typically my lower back.
Yeah.
And so going back to prescription stuff, if at all possible, I'm not taking pills. I have taken heavy pills before for some minor surgeries and things where I've had incredible pain. Ibuprofen didn't get it. Doctor prescribed it. I didn't like it. Made me foggy, made me sick, caused stomach problems. I didn't like it. I threw it away, and I just crushed ibuprofen to get it, which is another thing. So you can go as far as you want with this.
Yeah.
I don't like that stuff.
Yeah.
Sometimes you need it. If I can avoid it, I don't. Somebody told me, try the CBD oil, a little roller ball, right? You know what I mean? It's just a little,
I got
you got
one.
the little roller ball, and I'll tell you, it kind of helped me. It helps me enough. It's just a topical application. You don't get, just in case nobody knows what we're talking about out there. It doesn't have THC, so it's not a.
There's no high.
You can't get intoxicated from it. It doesn't work. You're not taking marijuana.
Right.
But that is a benefit to me, and I'm happy to explain that one I just did.
Yeah.
And I'd rather do that than take something internally if I can. And so sometimes I do that, and it works.
Yeah.
I was thinking put it on my kids. Like,
yeah.
Oh, Dad, I hurt me. Oh.
Right.
I don't care. Right. And so I have zero conviction about that, and I don't mind explaining that as a Christian pastor and so forth. Now, the reason I leave the door open for everything else is, again, I had a surgery one time. It was super bad. This was before they prescribed like oral marijuana, more than smoking cigarettes is what I'm saying. If that happened again and they were to say, here are your options. This is a more natural path. This is a synthetic path, or whatever the terms would be. I might choose the other one because I don't like the feeling of those heavy drugs. So that's why I don't say never, 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 because you just don't know where you're going to be. The Bible literally says Timothy had some stomach problems, and Paul wrote to him and said, take a little wine for your stomach. If that happened to me, if I had a blood pressure problem, they say, well, you can take these pills that were made in a laboratory and be dependent for the rest of your life, or you can have a half a glass of wine every night at 7 o'clock.
Yeah.
I might change my tune based on new information. That's why I just don't slam that door.
Yeah.
But right now, I don't.
Grandpa's cough medicine. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, the old whiskey or whatever. Oh man. All right.
I mean, if you got another thing, I think we're allowed to.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm just going to ask it because I'm sitting here with coffee.
Here you go.
Okay.
Here you go. Perfect example.
Right. So
it's a stimulant all day.
It's a stimulant, right? So how do we define that line of I have stimulated my brain to a certain extent, but it has not, I don't know how else to say it, crossed the line.
Yeah.
So as a coffee addict, which I could probably admit I probably would
by
say
some
I'm
definition,
addict,
we both are,
Yeah. What are the questions we need to ask when drinking coffee? And why is that totally accepted and yet the others aren't?
Exactly. That's a whole nother topic.
Yeah.
Culture, again, with culture, right?
Yeah.
So to answer your question, the first question I would ask, am I convicted? Do I feel conviction by the Holy Spirit? And everything we talked about up to this point, that's the first question. Does the Bible forbid it? No.
Right.
Wine? No. Marijuana? No. That's the true answer. No,
Right.
it does not forbid that.
Right.
It's not sexual immorality.
Right. Right.
So now we're in the area of Christian liberty.
Yep.
So now I would go, does the Holy Spirit convict me? No. Not at this level.
Mm-hmm.
Is it a stumbling block? Not that I can see.
Mm-hmm.
Not that I can see and I've never heard.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so is it an idol? Whew.
That one
close.
It
can get close.
Uh-huh.
Not really, but
right.
it can get.
Right.
Is it an addiction? I mean, to some level, is that a problem? It's like it's just a choice I make, and I have the Christian liberty to do it.
Yeah.
Could you walk away if God came down from heaven and sat right here and said, Scott, I'm asking you to walk away for this. You just got to trust me for the reasons. Would that be this huge, like, oh man, Lord, like, then you have an idol problem. And the truth is, I think I could. I could.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Those are some some level of
right.
response.
Yeah, and I've walked through that myself with it of, am I willing to give it up? Can I give it up? And, maybe somebody could say you're justifying things, but I do feel clean in my heart on that side of it for those reasons.
And I've done it for different fasts and things for the Lord.
Sure.
I've included that. And then even last year I was in a 40-day fast, but I ended up keeping coffee out for like 3 or 4 months. And it was fine, and I functioned fine.
Yeah.
I just liked it. I just like to ride in the truck in the morning. I live in the stinking Midwest. It's 13 degrees when I get in my car in the morning and go to where I'm going. I'm just going to have a cup of coffee because it just helps me get by a cloudy day. Like, it's fine. Yeah. But I realized if I needed to walk away, I did, and I can. Mm-hmm. But you get into an interesting thing we probably already talked about, maybe enough, but it's interesting when again, we're going to talk about gluttony.
Yeah, we are going to get into this
accept things that are more than alcohol.
Yes.
This is sin.
Yeah.
And we just go, huh?
Right. Yeah, a lot of that.
But then we make a villain out of something else.
We do. Yeah, so we're going to be careful with that. Yeah, we're gonna get into. We've teased it enough. We're going to get into gluttony in a couple of weeks. We're nervous and excited about it. I think it's necessary. It's something we've talked about and we want to be cautious with, but I'm talking too much about it. But
you are and aren't. I feel like people also need to know this isn't about body type or image. This isn't about fat and thin.
Not one bit. And we'll talk about
it's
that.
It's not about that. I'm going to tell you right now, I struggle with gluttony.
Yeah.
I because it's about something else. It's about a matter of the heart, and we're going to talk about it. But I think we both, I don't know if you know this or not, this is an intervention. I think you battle gluttony.
I have said that openly to you. I think even this is an intervention. Look at this guy.
Okay. Couple gluttons.
This is where we need to wrap it up, I think. Okay. Hey, we look forward to doing more of these. Thank you for all of your questions that you're submitting. Continue to do that. We would love to walk through some of these. And our point behind it is that we want to go to Scripture and say how can Christians wrestle with some of these gray areas, I guess. So, as always, don't take our word for it, being His, and we'll see you next time on the Encore.